Hey everybody, this is Richard, and this is the second to last panel of GauntletCon. We have a showcase of 4 amazing creators who are volunteers and members, and have even served on Codex staff or publishing Codex for the Gauntlet community. And I'm going to ask them I'm going to go off line and ask the 4 of them to introduce themselves, starting with Bethany and then snaking back upward to Yasmin. And then we'll let them kind of talk about the projects.
Hi, I'm Bethany Harvey. I play a lot of games on the Gauntlet. I GM some games on the Gauntlet, and occasionally I write and develop games. I'm on both Twitch and itch.io at Bethany Harvey if you're looking for me, and some other space than the Gauntlet. And that's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Maria Rivera. I have written a bunch of stuff for the Gauntlet in Codex specifically. I am on Twitter with the username @Thobin, THOBN.
Hi, I'm Jake. Jake Householder. I used to do layout for Codex for a while, and I also design games and run them and play them, and I've got a few coming up soon, one of which will be hopefully a Codex game. And you can find me on Twitter at Jake Householder, like one who holds a house.
Hey, I'm Jasmin Neitzel. I'm working for Ulysses Spiele, which is like a bigger publisher. I'm doing work on a lot of games there. My private account is at the worst RPG on Twitter, or Jasmin Neitzel at Facebook. I pretty much don't use other social media, and yeah, I will be talking about some of the games my company has coming up, and keep it focused to the ones I'm personally involved in.
All right. How about we start with Bethany and kind of go in like that same order, talking about like kind of what projects you have coming out, what are you working on right now, what are you particularly excited about, and what's coming, what do you think might be coming from you in the future?
Yeah, so right now I'm kind of working on 4 different things. I have a fairly short, simple GM-less story game, or GM-ish. I think Jim Crocker coined that term, and it fits. It's called Unincorporated. It's a game about like petty small town drama, where you play just ordinary people, not even necessarily friends, who keep running into each other because there just aren't that many people. It's based both on like these. There were several 90s TV shows about, you know, small towns and how things get magnified a lot when you only have a certain pool of people, and you like they are your coworkers and also your friends and also your like romantic prospects, and my own experiences of living in very tiny communities where that is absolutely true. It's a story game, but it does have an actual like dice mechanic. And you do have stats. Your stats are jock, nerd, prep, and goth. You get them by putting your character on that, you know, that famous jock, nerd, prep, goth chart. The reason they're named that is that they're reflecting your reputation, not necessarily like your reality. And part of the point of the game is to like fight against that. And there's a whole token economy on that is how you resist that. And if you hoard enough tokens, you get a chance to make your own stat and declare, no, I'm none of these things. This is what I really am. I've run a few playtests. I like it so far. It's a lot of fun. The playtests tend to turn out pretty crazy and gonzo. But they've all been very enjoyable so far. And right now I have a playtest version of it up on itch.io. If anyone wants to playtest it, tell me how it went. I have a module for Dungeon World / OSR also. It's called Stuck in Jawbone. And it's set in this like isolated, snowed-in town with a lot of dark secrets and a sort of family feud simmering just under the surface. There's like a factory where people keep disappearing, a haunted temple, backstory about a vampire and a cursed artifact. Yes, there's a werebear. Thanks, Richard. And it's a mystery, but it's kind of a mystery sandbox, if that's even a possibility. There's a lot of a lot of subplots and threads that are all tied together, but it's not evident immediately how they're tied together. So there are a lot of different hooks that the players can jump on depending on like what interests them, and they'll still all kind of lead to each other, and they'll all lead eventually to like the big central mystery. It's meant to be as flexible as a mystery module can possibly be. And the subplots, they do start to make sense, and like you do start to see how they're tied together right around the third session. It is meant specifically for Gauntlet style 4 to 5 session series. You can play through the whole mystery in about that time. You might miss a couple of subplots, but you'll still get a satisfying conclusion. Can't talk. And it is also in a slightly more polished beta version right now on itch.io. It's pay what you want. The Cortex is complete. It's missing a few maps, and it's missing some like extra helpful GM material. Like there will eventually be a relationship chart to sort out these like very tangled relationships between the townsfolk and who's related to who killed who, and maybe some random NPC tables, just in case there aren't enough NPCs. There's a lot of NPCs. There's probably enough. They're trying to have the final, polished, pretty laid out version by the end of the year. It'll be definitely available in PDF and ebook formats, maybe POD. It's getting to be long enough to make that a reasonable option instead of just print out your own zine and staple it together. And I've got 2 not yet available. One is a no dice, no masters hack based on, well, or at least inspired by Terry Pratchett's Discworld and Tiffany Aching novels. You play a coven of witches. You have to protect a village. The village is not super cooperative, and you're protecting it. You have to deal with each other, and also, various external forces in addition to the village. It's no dice, no masters is it's a system used by Dream Askew, Dream Apart, Flotsam. So each player plays both one witch and one setting element that you kind of are the GM of. So that's you might have noticed I like GM-less or semi-GM-less games. I think they're fun to play and also fun to develop.
What will the witch game be called?
So far, it's just a placeholder title. I'm calling it Herding Cats, but yeah, it doesn't have a real title yet.
And another question: is the unincorporated intended for play of for one session play, or is this like a longer thing too?
1 to a one-shot or a short campaign. I think I've only ever played through one-shots of it, but I think it's actually aimed for maybe 3 sessions, 2 to 3 sessions. I think the number of tokens you have to hoard to do that cool, create your own stat thing actually is like it's 3 times the number of sessions you have planned. That's really the only scaling I did. But I think you can usually get a story in 1 session, but I think 3 would give it room to breathe. The only other thing I'm working on is this huge, ambitious, ridiculous plan that I haven't really started writing in earnest yet. That's just my plan for next year. Is this multi-system game? Right now, I'm just calling it the Drowned City. It's a near future kind of semi-dystopian setting. It's not quite cyberpunk. It's not quite post-apocalyptic. The closest touchstones I can think of are the movie Beasts of the Southern Wild and the book Blackfish City, which are very different settings, but this is kind of a combination of the two concepts, I guess. It's basically going to be a campaign setting with a main game, probably a PBTA hack, maybe some Forged in the Dark influence, but it'll also have mini games to like flesh out different aspects of the setting, like build characters and factions that aren't visible to the main PCs. So basically, you get like almost like GM's faction turns, but everybody gets to do those. We'll see how it works. I haven't tested any of it yet, so we'll see. I think I'm actually gone a little over my time. So, Maria?
Okay, so I am on and off gamer, ADHD, whatever, working on a bunch of things. My main game, however, or thing I'm working on is called Fear. It's spelled Vier. Jasmine gets the pun, or Jasmine gets the pun. So in Fear, Fear is a hack or setting book for Troika. It has optional rules, combat stances. It has species specials, which is just a special that you add to your character based on your species. And it has 36 new backgrounds and other stuff like enemies and just setting material. The setting itself, I'm gonna read the introduction because I posted everywhere, and it's just the no, in that way I ensure I don't miss any part of the setting. Multiple light square away from Troika exists a black hole that none dare speak of. The tunnels of the Goblin Labyrinth take sharp turns to steer clear of its path. Dragons silence those who dare question what lies therein. The gods themselves refuse to acknowledge such inquiries. That sphere is named Benidorm, and it is a impossibly vast bucolic paradise. Boundless fields filled with myriad boxen and extensive rivers is all that the traveler would see at first. That and the towering crystals that they may occasionally find. They are soul bombs, and they are holding Benidorm hostage. There are travelers who wonder how could one plant such heinous devices on such a perfect world, but they have not seen the real face of Benidorm. There is a simple cantrip known to all denizens of Benidorm, a simple, passionate whisper of a name under candlelight that will take one to a great metropolis of excess and decadence, where subtle war is won by courtship and vivid love is lost by the edge of that knife. That name is. So it's weird, but then again, not as weird as Troika. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. They are just, but like I will just keep talking in the meantime.
Yeah, this is a supplement for Troika, so I would need Troika core game to play it, right?
Yes, you need Troika to play it. The core rules are in Troika.
Yeah, and where can it be found?
Oh, Troika itself can be found in multiple places. The Melsonia store, Melsonia.com, I think it is. It's also on itch.io, Drive to RPG, on PDF there. It recently had a sale, and now it's having a backgrounds gem. I think it's still going on.
Yeah, and
Where
where
you
will
just, oh,
where will we be able to find your game?
oh, my game. I'm gonna post once I finish writing the first draft. I'm gonna post it on itch.io so people can actually look at it. Oh, and then I'll hopefully be able to work on it some more, get actual art for it, and then maybe see where it goes from there. Uh, all right, so there are some examples of the content. I will roll for it because I will, or if someone can roll D66 for me, so I can find. Uh,
Well, I just rolled boxcars for possibly the first time in my life, so there you go.
All right, cool beans. That's hopefully not a waste of boxcars. Let me go up to the. Oh, it's hopefully not a waste because it's you died, so now your soul is in a robot, and that's your background. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Cool. I've always wanted to play a robot.
This one is weird because you have to roll for background again to see what you get, what you were initially before you died.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I'm gonna. If there are no further questions, I'm gonna let Jake talk because I really don't have much to say other than it's Troika. It's gonna be weird.
See, now I'm curious. What's 2 and 4? What was I before I died? Let's see some
Okay.
examples from this.
Yes. 2, 4, 2, 4. Conejas Conquistador. You are a. Conejas was once a massive lunar empire expanding too quickly. You have traveled far from home, unaware that your homeland is now a shadow of its former self. So you're so this background is kind of based on the myth that the moon rabbit in Japan, but also a pun-ish, not pun, but like also the whole Spain being the land of rabbits kind of deal. So
I hadn't heard that. Spain is the land of rabbits. Cool. I was thinking that seems very serious for Troika, for a Troika background. But then you add rabbits. So.
Yeah, but it has been.
Yeah, I wondered how that tied in, and I was like, oh, maybe it's just a name of a country for some reason. But no, okay. So background seems serious, but also rabbits. That sounds like
rabbits.
So you are more or less a bunny robot like Diva in Overwatch.
Oh yeah, you get a giant riding rabbit, or you had one before you died. So yeah, Jake, can you tell us about your game?
I'd love to. I'm working on a few things right now, but chief among them is the first release of a game system called Vigor. We are actually pushing to Kickstarter on November 12th, so it's coming up really soon. And the release that we are putting out is called Vigor Into Dust. It is a character-forward GM-ish game, to piggyback on that phrase, about basically a land that is extrapolated loosely from my own experience growing up in Appalachia, poor and weird, and seeing industries like salt and coal and timber and hydraulic fracturing take over and leave the land so much worse off, and then move on. So there's lots of forces at work that represent that kind of, like, I don't know, classically eco rebellion sort of tale. There's a a mechanized industrial governmental power in charge called the hierarchy, and they roll their machine across this land called Vest, and they are also, the people of Vest are haunted by this creeping rot called the corruption, which is turning all that is good in the land to aberrant, crazy things that, if you're playing with Bethany Harvey, jump up out of the water and then you accidentally killed them. No, Bethany joined me for a playtest of it, and it was such a lot of fun. But yeah, the game is like, we call it character forward because what you're playing out of develops out of something that we call your role play prompts. And actually, I wonder if I can screen share this with you. Yeah, I think I can. So this is not what I wanted, but that is an awesome bit of a comic that's going to be from Minerva. There we go. Are you looking at what I'm looking at now?
We're looking at the
character
sheet. Yeah.
Great. That's what I wanted to show you. So this is the character sheet for Vigor, and I think this kind of explains a lot about the game, which is that most of the character sheet is taken up with kind of blank prompts. Under your roleplay prompts, you have like your threads, which are the things that you care about in the story, the things that personally or in the surrounding narrative matter to your character, whom we call a lead. And they have their threads, which are the things that they care about. They have their natures, which are like their instincts, their modus operandus, and they have their roots, which are like their grounding forces and relationships in their lives. And the game core rolling mechanic is dice pool based. When you go to roll the dice, you add dice to your pool based on basically these elements of your own personhood, your threads, your natures, your roots, and that sort of stuff. And they can also remove dice from your pool. And then it's all pushed along by the core dice mechanic. It revolves around prompts like here, let me see if I can just find this real quick. It'll be easier to. I like having props. But when you roll the dice, you're looking for a number of successes, and then we compare those successes to a chart that we call the tiers of success. There it is. And that starts from a no and all the way up through a yes and. So when you don't get any successes, you're prompted with no, you didn't get what you want, and something else bad happens. No, you didn't get what you want, but you get closer. Yes, you got what you want, but not without repercussions. The boring yes, you get what you want, and then the exciting yes, and you get what you want and then some. So a lot of the narration and world building and that sort of stuff is put in the hands of the folks who are taking up the role of being a lead. So the Stitch, which is the GM-ish character, is there just to, as the name might imply, weave some of those threads together that people are bringing into the game, kind of look for ways to turn the fiction back to the characters and set up some interesting things that they can get into. So yeah, that's kind of the core of the game. You make rolls based on who you are. You kind of narrate the fiction forward out of how that goes, out of those roleplay or out of those storytelling prompts from the tiers of success, and the game rolls on. yeah, I've play tested it a little bit in the Gauntlet community with let's see who played it in the first playtest. Jason Cordova played, and Ferret and Nova and Chris Kruger. So we had a fun story that happened in there that was set in like the Hierarchy's Forge, where they all kind of backstabbed each other and focused on like basically the one element of the game that is just like doing scenes around your roleplay prompts, and it was super fun. And it was great. And then I feel like Bethany and Kayla and I played a kind of fun, very loosely, like we all kind of shared a lot of the characters and that sort of stuff, and told a very lovable to me story about a performing arts troupe who won the hearts and minds of a off the beaten trail enclave of folks who were protecting the well springs from oh yeah, and you blew up a dam. That's right. And sank those hierarchy machines. It was good. It was good. But anyway, I'm super excited about the game, and the main things that I wanted to mention here before I forget is that 1, it's kickstarting November 12th, and that 2, the open playtest starts tomorrow. So you can hop on to vigorrpg.com, and if you pop your email into the sign up there, you'll get a link to the Vigor beta playtest Discord, and you'll get a link to a totally free text-only PDF copy of the game, which is still in draft form, obviously, but it's like it's done. So it's an exciting time to be alive. So yeah.
The system itself is setting agnostic, right?
Vigor in and of itself is setting agnostic, but we're not putting out there. It doesn't exist outside of Vigor Into Dust. So the first publication of this system is setting specific, but we intend to release others. And in fact, that's one of the stretch goals. One of the first stretch goals of the game is a game called Rush of Blood, and it is a game about horror and greed in the 1849 California Gold Rush. That's a really fun one that centers on those themes of, like I said, horror and greed, luck, misfortune, and it involves some expansion rules to the core Vigor Into Dust as well, centered around gold and fever, which I think is a lot of fun. And actually, if you want to hear that, you can see if I can find a link for it, but a podcast of the run. Let me try that again. I was on a podcast, actual play podcast, doing Rush of Blood that just came out this past week. It's on Roll to Play Pod. I'll see if I can find. There it is. That, and I'll give you the link here, Richard, if you want to throw it out to folks too to catch. But it was, there you go. It was a lot of fun, and we told a fun story about Gold Rush era panhandlers and vampires, basically. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, and we're hoping to be able to bring more stuff out. And Minerva Fox has done some great artwork for us, and I'm really excited about the game. I hope it does not just totally flop. So yeah, I'm so sorry. I haven't been paying attention to time at all. Am I okay? What?
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Good. But yeah, if there aren't any questions right now, I'll throw it to Yasmin.
You're muted.
Yeah, the chat doesn't seem to have any questions, so yeah, let's continue with me. As I said, I'm working for Ulysses Spiele. We are a bigger publisher. Our main lines are in Germany, so a lot of the stuff I'm doing is in German. I will not talk about as much about that, but we have some upcoming crowdfundings that are English language as well. The first of them that will, I think, still come out this year. Sorry, need a drink. The first one that's coming out this year is the Cyber Papacy for Talk Eternity. Talk Eternity is this remake of game that was around in the 90s. It's about hostile realities invading our world, and the people who are bravely defending it are coming from those cosms ruled by evil High Lord baddies to join the resistance and keep the keep our reality as it is, and not overrun by other worlds. And the Cyber Papacy is one of these invading realities. They are a totalitarian cyberpunk regime with a theocratic bent. There is the Cyber Pope, which who is their High Lord, the evil guy trying to invade reality, and he basically jumped in and took over France and Iberia, parts of Europe by at first defeating demons who he created himself, and then establishing and changing his regime and changing reality so that people are suddenly into it. Cyberware suddenly works there, but also do miracles. There are cyber witches who can do kind of magic, but also hacking stuff. And it's as you hear, it's a bit gonzo, but it is really fun. The game itself also pushes some narrative elements. You have this drama deck that gives you like prompts you can put into play as you go along, and they are this drama deck gets new elements for each cosm that fits the genre of the cosm. So you get a lot of cyberpunk and religious elements you can do for your characters by stepping into the Cyber Papacy and accepting its reality. And so this will be, I think, a fun supplement. There are a few cool writers on it. Head developer and writer, I think, is there may be other people I'm forgetting now, but at the end, Gilbert is doing the most of the writing. She's a trans woman as well, so it's there. You can be assured that there is a queer perspective to this cyberpunk game, which I appreciate in my cyberpunk games. One of the characters will be like a trans girl hacker, which a trans pride flag colored cyber deck. So that's an illustration that got me sadly. I don't have it ready right now, but yeah, just imagine cool trans girl cyber hacker and play that and be a cyber witch and defeat the Cyber Papacy and digital angels and stuff like that. And then walk over into another cosm and fight against dinosaurs in New York or something like that. Talk is fun. And I'm the editor for the German editions of Talk, so that's my personal involvement. I will be doing the Living Lamp next, which has been crowdfunding a while ago, and that's the dinosaurs in New York kind of setting, like dinosaurs and lizard men and other prehistoric stuff just popped out in America, and suddenly technology stops working and people start acting like barbaric, and you still have to somehow survive and get people to safety and punch dinosaurs, which also is fun. You can also, of course, cross cosms, so you can be a lizard man riding a dinosaur and your trans witch girl, cyber papacy friend, and then go over to Orosh and fight Victorians and horror monsters. Yay.
Now I want to play a combination of all of these games.
Yeah, that's all. That's all talk. You can combine all of the settings and have a campaign traveling on the world and different cosmos and picking up elements from each reality. And at the end, you are a badass gonzo group of people who can really do fun stuff. Yeah. After that, we will do a Kickstarter for the Dark Eye, another supplement where some of my writing will be translated. It will be the works of the gods, and it's our cleric supplement. And the best ones are the clerics of the Dark Eye, and it describes the gods and they're the people doing the work in Aventuria, the setting of the Dark Eye, which is like a classic fantasy, but very inspired by the European background. It's a German game with a German with some German sensibilities to it, like a fairy tale stuff. On the background, we have our cultural background, of course, is carried into the game, and I hope retains its charm with translation. Works of the Gods will offer new gods beyond those that are in the Dark Eye core rules. It will give you like the whale shaped Viking kind of god of plundering, but also the community of oh yeah, the chat is doing funny stuff yet. Yeah. Yeah. You have a Viking god of community and plundering. You have the god of snow and survival and bringing the winter, and also a god of change, new ideas, pregnancy, birth, and you can play followers of those gods, and all of them get new powers that are helpful in your adventuring, either by bringing the winter or bringing peace. You can put new gods into work. Also, that it reveals the powers of the Nameless One, a god that was rejected by the other gods and chained into the great chasm in the sky where demons would come out, but now he's in there and they are eating his body, and they even took his name so he may not be worshipped and prayers may not reach him. Still, he started to mutilate himself, threw down pieces of his body to still do works in Aventuria, and his followers and creatures are described in the works of the gods as well, and give you new methods to use those antagonists in your game. A lot of cool classic fantasy stuff. Also, we are finishing the Theater Knights campaign within it, which is the first big campaign for the Dark Eye. It has been out here a few years now in Germany. I played it and really enjoyed the game. It's set like in an Eastern Prussia, Russian-inspired setting with serfs and nobles, but it's also like the old Poland and a noble republic where there's an election for who leads the lands, and this is a campaign that is pretty intersectional. It questions what it means to be a hero and the colonial elements of classic fantasy tropes, like the goblins are evil and you can just kill them, and so they using a setting that explicitly has been colonized from goblins that lived there before, and confronts the players with which this means as for the world. Like it's not without consequences if you are doing stuff like this, and so the players and their characters have to confront this, ask themselves questions about this, and what it means to be a hero for them, and if that means killing people who are different from you. The answer the campaign provides is no, but maybe you end up playing the bad guys, but you will know you are bad guys then, and you are playing characters who are assholes. And this campaign also has really great illustrations, some of them from the perspective of goblins, where you are seeing them like there's a goblin couple that's in love with the characters, but they are like antagonists characters, still cool people, but you're seeing them portrayed like in a romantic way where they are where we are seeing them as lovers, and so you get when you see the portrait first, you right away get an empathy for these characters. Also, there is an image where the goblins are threatened by a dog, and the dog is really huge because goblins in this world are smallish, and so you get, by doing the illustrations this way, you're put in the perspective of the goblins, seeing the world from their eyes, even if you are likely not playing an only goblin group. Also, it's an epic fantasy campaign with battles and all of that stuff, killing dragons and whatnot, but instead with a coronation, it ends with an election that we, when we did it in Germany, actually left to the player base. So we did an election with the player base, and then who won is the new canonic ruler of the setting for the next 5 years till we do an election again. So yay, Dark Eye and community participation. And even if you can't do the election now, you can still play the game and have this epic campaign at your disposal if you go into the Workers of Gods crowdfunding end of this year or beginning of next. Otherwise, if there are any German viewers, Das Dornreich, The Realm of Thorns, another Dark Eye source book just came out, and I'm really happy how it turned out. This is our Turkish India setting. And we did a lot of cool stuff there. I will not go into all of it, but if you're German, buy it. Also, I will be doing a stretch goal for the German version of Lovecraft-esque. The crowdfunding is starting end of the month, 30s. So I will be doing a setting for that, or one of the play sheets, whatever. And yeah, I'm happy to be back with doing something Lovecraft-esque after being a playtester for the original English version. So that will be fun. Also, I'm working on the German translation of Vampire 5th edition now. The glossary is done, and soon we will be able to take pitches and ideas for our own German source books that we are allowed to develop. So yay. Also, I see there are comments in the live chat. Let's see how many about them are about the weird talk combinations. Just a few comments. Yeah.
I have a question about Vampire 5th edition.
Yes.
The source books, you said they were all original to the German version. Will they be translated back into English?
Yes. We will be, our German books will be translated into English. I can't say when. We are, at the moment, we are getting the basics done, so we have a common vocabulary and people can start. But once the rules are there, we can start writing. And then, we are very much intending to have them translated, and then probably Modiphius will publish them.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So, what do we have to talk about now? I think every one of us pitched the games.
So I put out a call to let people ask any questions. We have about 5, 6 viewers right now. So give them a second to ask questions. And then, also, if you have questions for each other, feel free to jump in.
Maria, you were saying that you're I think you were saying that you, in addition to just creating backgrounds for Troika, you were adding extra elements to it. Can you talk about how it's different from just base Troika?
Like the combat stances, I'm adding that to add some flavor to combat. The species specials are also new. And then something I didn't mention that is still part of core Troika, but it's like new enemies and new magic items and stuff like that.
Cool. So it's not just the setting and backgrounds. You would I guess new monsters would be part of the setting, but
yeah, part of the setting. But like, there's like a small section on like additional rules that you can plug in into Troika if you want.
cool. Hey Jake, I had no idea that you like that like environmental destruction in Appalachia was the background inspiration for Vigor, but now that I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. I'm ashamed that it didn't occur to me while we were playing it, because like that is the thing that I'm really familiar with.
Right. Yeah, we talked a little bit about our respective similar-ish backgrounds, I suppose, from decent spots in the Midwest. But yeah, it's tough because we don't want to pin down what exactly it looks like, because there's a fair amount of world building and story building that we want the table to do. But at the same time, the touch points that we put in the book for folks are like, imagine like, there's a sludge like hexes from Fern Gully, and stuff like that, or any of the number of kind of corruption elements from different Miyazaki films and stuff like that. So it's everything's very open, but at the same time, like I know for me personally, and Teddy is the co-designer of the game. He is for both of us, we grew up in small-ish towns in for me it was more in like coal country in Ohio, and for him further west, but still, yeah, it really sucks to watch people just be pushed further down into their poverty by the machines that are here to promise them jobs and that sort of stuff. So yeah. Yes, small New England towns that don't like change. I'm in one of those now. I'm in rural Maine.
In talk, it's all dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's all the way down.
Dinosaurs in small towns. Weird themes for this.
They
this
do not like change.
Conversation. Dinosaurs don't like. Yeah, I mean, change is bad for dinosaurs.
That's true.
Like we mentioned at the beginning, there's unincorporated that Bethany's working on. That's pretty much small towns that don't like change, right?
Exactly.
Yep, exactly. In fact, they won't even let you change.
But
Yeah.
these are like dinosaurs.
Unincorporated with dinosaurs. That's what we need.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Bethany, I'm really intrigued by the mechanic that you were talking about, whereby you can kind of like eventually turn the labels that are given you. You can is it that you can kind of strip those away, and then eventually you make your own label for yourself as like this kind of personal identification, or
Yeah,
how does
pretty
that?
much. You still technically have them, but they're all 0 as soon as you create your own, and you can declare it. No, I'm not really a nerd. I'm really and some of the suggested ones. Although obviously you don't have to go with the suggested ones, since the entire point is self-definition. But
Right.
like rock star, or if you really want to lean into the nerd and be even more nerdy than people think you are, you could be a mad scientist. So, whatever you want, but it's the point is like, no, I'm not what people think I am. This is what I am. And you get a +2 in that, and you just keep that stat. That is your stat.
I love that. That's great. I love games that are about like identity and like who you are. It has a big like influence on how the game is played and that sort of stuff.
Once I work the kinks out of the mechanic, I feel like I'll probably be using it or variations on it for other games.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the Witch game. That's something like I really love the Terry Pratchett books, and it sounds like a fun thing to play.
It seems like a fun thing to play. Hopefully it will be as good as it sounds, because I just like thought of it and immediately was like, I have to write this. I'm just hoping I can like capture a little bit of the tone of those books, because that's so much of what makes them good.
Yeah, but if the players have read it, I think it will really help to to tap into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you don't read the text out loud in a game. So a lot of it is through the player interpretation. But yeah, I want to make. I tend to want to make anything I write, whether it's a game or fiction, fun to read. So like I said, I'm trying, but it's difficult to convey. Actually, that's a thing about games. It's hard to convey like a good, solid, evocative tone, and also just like make everything very, very clear. And to me, clarity is more important, but a little bit of the tone would be nice too.
Yeah. I'm actually not that much of a designer. Like, I design mechanics for existing games, but I'm mostly working like developing settings that already exist and writing source books and bonus materials and stuff like that. But yeah, like, if you do that for Talk or for Troika, that's valid too.
Yeah.
All right, I think I want to give a last call for questions as we're getting right up on time. If that's okay with our guest, I don't want to interrupt y'all. All right, I think what I'd like to do now is just ask for one last round of like saying aloud your social media presence and where people can find you, and then we will sign off.
Mine is super easy. I'm primarily on Twitter, and itch.io is where you find my games. Eventually, I'll have some on Drive-Thru RPG, but I don't yet. And it's all Bethany Harvey, first and last name, crammed together, no space, no underline, no nothing, just Bethany Harvey.
Mine is Thobin, THOBN, as I said in the beginning, on Twitter, because I mainly just shitpost there, but okay.
Yeah, you can find me at Jake Householder on Twitter, like one who holds a house, and vigorrpg.com. Please come join the Discord, and I'd love to share Vigor with you as we lead up to the Kickstarter.
You can find me at The Worst RPG on Twitter, one word. And that's mostly my private account where I'm posting RPG and trend stuff, sometimes soccer, often in German. But follow me if you're interested in any of those things. The Ulysses Spiele you can find at Ulysses Spiele practically anywhere, on Kickstarter, Drive-Thru. On Facebook, we have multiple sites. There is Ulysses Spiele International for all the talk goodness, and the Dark Eye for all the Dark Eye goodness. Thanks.
And thanks, Richard, for the invitation.